Hi, I'm Marianne Prisichenko. Welcome to the Pathways to Potential program today, helping everyone find a pathway to their fullest potential. I am here today with our State Administrative Manager, Tanisha Carter, and we are really pleased to share a wonderful program all around the state of Michigan. Tanisha?
Hi, Marianne. Thank you so much for the introduction. We are excited to be able to present on the Michigan Department of Pathways to Potential program. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the next slide. Pathways to Potential is an innovative Michigan Department of Health and Human Service approach to providing human services. We go in locations where the client is already going, such as in schools. This involves working one-on-one with families to identify and remove barriers for families and students, and to connect them to a network of services that they can benefit from to become self-sufficient and realize their dreams. This also involves engaging with community partners and school personnel so that we all can work together to help families find the pathway to success. Next slide. So the program started in 2012 in Detroit, Flint, Pontiac, and Saginaw schools. And since the implementation of the program in 2012, our program is now located in 42 counties and 304 schools throughout the state of Michigan. Next slide. So what we have is Pathways workers. They are Michigan Department of Health and Human Services workers. And Michigan Department of Health and Human Services workers are the workers that are located in the Department of Health and Human Services office. And these workers typically process government assistance applications and redeterminations when it comes to determining eligibility for medical assistance, food assistance, child daycare assistance, and other programs offered by the state of Michigan. And so what we have done is we have renamed these workers that are now placed in the schools, and we call them success coaches. And these success coaches are placed in schools where we have a high number of families that receive assistance. And even in the school, if there is a student who does not receive any assistance, our success coaches still provide support to that student and family. And so with our Pathways workers, the customers, the students, the families, they now have a greater and easier access to our success coaches, and our success coaches now have an easier access to the clients. The program is very mobile. It's not where the success coach is just located in the office. Our success coaches is located in the school, but they also move around as far as connecting with the community partners. And so with this program, we just changed the way we practice and operate to meet the needs of the students, families, and community. Next slide. And so I know a lot of people have questions as far as what the success coaches do. Our success coaches work with the principals, social workers, attendance agents, and teachers to monitor attendance and address barriers. They also work one-on-one with families to identify and remove barriers and connect them to a network of services. And our goal is to have the clients become more self-sufficient. And so the success coaches also work with the students, along with the families and the communities. And they support the families to be strong, healthy, and successful. And they work very hard to connect the families to not only the resources that are provided by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, but also resources within their community. Next slide. And so our program targets 5 outcome areas, which is attendance, education, health, safety, and self-sufficiency. With health, our success coaches focus on removing barriers that prevent access to health care. This includes an increase in local access to healthy foods, increase in free and reduced lunch participation for eligible students. And this also includes just determining if they are eligible for medical insurance through the Department of Health and Human Services, and if not, helping them to obtain access to medical and health related benefits outside of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. A next important focus is safety. Our success coaches work to increase access to prevention services, engage disconnected youth, connect vulnerable youth and adults to a protective network, and assist in developing a safe community. Another outcome area is self-sufficiency, and this includes an increased access to employment opportunities. Our success coaches have information as far as employment opportunities for not only the families, the parents, but also the students. And so this just helps the family to become more self-sufficient. And they also can assist in accessing quality childcare. They promote adult education and support access to transportation as well. Another outcome area is education, and our success coaches work very hard to remove barriers to active participation, enhance and support parental involvement. And last but not least, which is also important, is school attendance and truancy. Our success coaches work alongside with the school personnel to reduce chronic absenteeism, again, to identify barriers to attendance and decrease dropout rates. Next slide. And so we do, with our program, focus on a team approach. We look for a quick identification of issues that are preventing attendance. And since the program has been around since 2012, we have collected data as far as what these barriers can consist of a lack of a school uniform, a lack of an alarm clock, medical needs for the child or the parent, homelessness, and transportation. All of these barriers that exist are things that our success coaches can provide support with. And so our success coaches do follow up with the team that they work with at the school to determine if intervention was successful after they provided services, along with follow-up with the families. Next slide. And so when we think about pathways to potential, again, we just think of helping everyone find a pathway to their fullest potential. And this is just a roadmap for our program where you can see that the customers, the families can visit the Family Resource Center School, which is our Pathways to Potential location, which is located in the school. And we are also looking to just make sure our success coaches get connected with the community resources so they can help the families. And then we have just the family alongside in the picture where we are just focusing on helping them with our 5 outcome areas. Next slide. Again, our success coaches just provide just so many services, and these are just some of the services that they provide. They can connect the families, again, to the Department of Health and Human Services programs that they are eligible for. Sometimes we do have families that are eligible for benefits, but have not necessarily pursued those benefits, or I specifically know that they're eligible, but with our success coaches being located in the schools, they can provide that one-on-one assistance and ensure they receive all benefits and resources that they're eligible for. Our success coaches have information for parenting resources, housing, childcare, safety resources, utility resources, food, mental health resources, family support resources, and information for jobs. And so again, our family just work with the entire family to build ties to community resources to stay in place long after the family has finished working with the Department of Health and Human Services. Next slide. And so this is just a map of where we are located. We are located all throughout the state of Michigan in 42 counties and 304 schools. We are located in early education schools, elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. The majority of our locations are elementary and middle schools, but this is just an overview of just where we are located. And additional information can be found out about our schools and the specific school on our public website, which is www.michigan.gov/pathways to potential. Next slide. And so this is our website link where you can find more information about the program, as well as our email address, which you can email our Pathways to Potential email address, or you can email me, Tanisha, at cartert4@michigan.gov. And now I'm going to hand this over to Marianne. Okay, so we're back to the success stories. Just before I hand it over to Marianne, I just wanted to go over some of the accomplishments and some of the things that our success coaches have done within the schools. This right here is just a beautiful story about how our success coaches focused on helping the students learn more about self-confidence and inner beauty. And this is a program, A Beautiful Me, which provides original, unique, and interactive activities to foster self-worth in women of all ages. And this work group specialized with students from grades 3 through 12. And the program provided the students with innovative ways to improve confidence and emotional health for Pathways to Potential students. And the program was implemented in the school by our success coach, along with approval, and of course, the school principal loved the program. And this program was actually aired on a news station, success within the school. Next slide. And this is another story where we had a success coach connect with the local airport. And what the success coach was able to do was able to obtain new bicycles and free plane rides as an incentive to autism. And so at the end of the school year, the Ludington Airport awarded free plane rides for students who had perfect attendance in May at the end of the school year. And this is a picture of one of a few students who were able to obtain a free plane ride. And it's just things like this that our success coaches do work on and collaborate with. And alongside with doing this, our success coaches do make sure that they do communicate this information to the principal of the school and make sure that they do obtain their approval to provide these incentives. Next slide. And this is another creative success story that we have where the success coach had hosted a superhero theme attendance celebration. And alongside with the school, the success coach helps to track attendance and to reward students for their successes. And out of 330 enrolled at North Godwin School, 280 students were considered to have good attendance and received an invitation. And so of those students, 133 students attended with their families, making the total in attendance 468. And so some of the families who were invited have had poor attendance in the past, but they had made the necessary changes so their child could now attend school regularly. And so the success coach was able to connect with community partners to have hot dogs and buns donated along with other items. And there's a picture of some of the costumes that was worn for the superhero theme. Next slide.
Okay, Tanisha, I will take it from here. Again, I'm Marianne Prisichenko, and I give you a little background. I was a teacher for 15 years and a principal for 15 years. And the one thing that I noticed was so many of our children were not achieving, not because of a new reading series or a new textbook or anything like that. It was really the barriers that were preventing them from being their personal best. So again, I want to go with our 5 outcome areas that Tanisha talked about in the beginning. And the reason is because each one of these barriers really prevented our families and our students from being the best that they could be. And when we started working in collaboration and as a team to break down these barriers with our success coaches, It was amazing, the results that we were able to find. One such area was in the third grade reading. Why aren't students reading at grade level? Oftentimes, it's a lot more than just the consonant, vowel, consonant, phonics, or just that new reading series. Early intervention is needed, and that includes in high schools. So we're going to talk a little about that later. But in all grade levels, especially in kindergarten, first and second grade, it is important that a child, if you look at the ACSD graph for the whole school, whole community, whole child graph, the child is in the center. And unfortunately, without all those different pieces, we're not going to be able to break down barriers for the children to be successful in third grade reading. It needs to be a team effort. One of the things we saw was homelessness, attendance issues, medical issues, including medications. And with medications, we were talking and seeing either that they were on a high dose, making them sleep during the day, a low dose, meaning they were ineffectively medicated, whether it was for diabetes or ADHD, or no dose. There were other underlying issues and they were not being addressed. And the success coach was hugely successful in us looking at our kindergarten, first and second grade. And remarkably, then we increased the number of children reading at grade level by third grade. The next area I want to talk about is the vision. So one of the things we did was we really did an intense dive that I'll talk about later, an intense dive at the vision issue. If a child can't see, chances are they're not going to read by third grade. So it's very important that we work in partnership with the school to be able to open the door and collaborate so our third grade readers are reading at grade level. However, this needs to happen well before third grade. As Tanisha mentioned, our success coaches are trained and updated regularly of all the many resources throughout the state of Michigan. The resources that the schools and families may not be aware of for breaking down barriers to attendance and success in school. Even now with COVID, the success coaches are constantly being updated with resources that are available, including where there are food, perhaps with jobs, all of the things that help break down those barriers to those 5 goals that we talked about earlier. The result now is that the classroom teachers are able to focus on teaching because there's support to make sure that all the other barriers that are preventing a child from learning and a parent from being actively engaged are broken down. These also are not limited to just the resources around your school. So we all know our community and we know how important it is to build a strong community, but yet the success coach is regularly updated on resources all around the state of Michigan. The next is transportation. We found that whether you're in the inner city or away in a rural area, transportation and getting to school or at work is a barrier, including for parents participating in schools. They can't get to the school, they don't have a car. Our success coach can work with them to make this happen. The next issue is families that experienced a fire or bed bugs, or they were experiencing any kind of a home issue. Our success coaches were able to work with them quickly to get them back to school once they were in a stable home. That did not happen prior to having our success coach. The next thing I'm going to talk about is how wonderful it was to have a success coach in the process of getting homebound services. And I'm not going to read all of the details about homebound services because I know most of you are very familiar. But what I want to talk about, especially now during COVID, when the isolation is up to 2 weeks, If a child is in homebound services, as a school, don't forget to include your success coach. They can be an active participant in all the things that Tanisha was saying earlier about the resources that they can provide a family. If a child is sick, they can help making sure there's a primary care physician, which unfortunately many of our families do not have. So please, when you get to this issue at your schools, remember that your success coach is a friend in this process with you. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is registration and count day. With COVID, we already know that some of the schools are going virtual, some of them will be in person. So we know registration and count day is going to look different. However, one of the best things that we found in the beginning of the school year was how successful a success coach was in finding families and getting needed paperwork for that registration, even if it is virtual. We can assist in encouraging students to arrive to school for count day. And if it's not on count day, if it's a virtual learning, they can also work to encourage that happening. They also, especially right now, can help with resources to make sure families have the needed supplies they need for school, especially in a virtual environment. They also can assist in looking for families throughout the state system. Now, please understand, they are held to very strict confidentiality rules, so they're not going to be able to look up and give information that's outside of what is absolutely important. But what they can do is they can find the most recent updated contact information to reach out to the students and say, where are you going to school? And please come to school. Or an email for the parent to be able to give that very important information to, especially now that many of us are not having open houses in the traditional way. Those of you who are going to be in school, there's a way for them to assist with uniforms and shoes. I personally witnessed multiple times that children didn't attend school. When we called the family, they said their shoes don't fit anymore, their clothes don't fit anymore, and especially when it comes to uniforms. We have a Dress for Success campaign that Tanisha mentioned earlier, where we can work with schools to help get the needed shoes and uniforms and clothing to make sure that child can get to school if it's not a virtual or online situation. The next issue that we found was it's hard enough for me sometimes to remember my phone number, let alone what the numbers for my casework are. And the lunch forms do require for free and reduced lunch that you have a case number. Our success coach, when handed a packet, was able to go through and apply all of these case numbers. And instead of going back and forth to the parent and saying, we need the case number, it was just not very friendly. Our success coach was able to help us with that so we could get those lunch forms processed quickly. So one of the things that I'm going to share with you, and this would be adapted, it's not any one way to do this, but we call it KISS IT, and it's keep it simple for students. So who's involved? The principal, the teachers, the nurse, the success coach, a resource teacher, social worker, attendance agent. Basically, you need to think who are the most pertinent staff and who is available. And on one day, or some schools have done multiple days, you look at just a class list of each student. There's no resolution on that day, but basically what you're asking is all students, and that means all, will be at or above grade level if. And what we found is that if almost always were all the things that our Pathway Success Coach was able to help us, getting mental health, get services, getting a primary care physician, getting medications, working with that primary care physician. the vision screening. I wanted to share with you one of our second grade teachers. Now let's think back to third grade reading needing to be at grade level. One of our second grade teacher noted that 17 of the 24 students in her class had some sort of vision issue. Well, if you can't see, you can't read. So our success coach was hugely resourceful in getting that teacher's student body up to speed so that they could get the glasses they needed. There was always a 2-week follow-up. Again, on that particular day, we didn't resolve issues because these issues took many weeks and years to create. They're not going to be fixed immediately or on that day. So we allowed every 2 weeks that we would follow up to see the progress we were making. And it was also incentivizing to us for the work we were doing because we were seeing an incredible amount of great changes. Now, one of the things that we saw was the very first year we implemented with Pathways to Potential, we had 3 resource teachers. Well, so we did a deep dive into all of our special ed students. We were able to work with the resource teacher, and we reduced from 3 resource teachers to 1 because we found that the kids were in resource because they had other barriers that we as a team were able to help with. Now, this during COVID time, you're not going to be able to do face-to-face, but you've got Zoom and you've got Teams, and it's a perfect way to be able to break down these barriers. Another huge issue in the state of Michigan is the high school graduation rates. We do have success coaches in our high schools doing amazing work. Success coaches work to support families to get their students to school. And we all know that sometimes in the high school area, this can be very difficult. The one thing that I want to say is that just like third grade reading, you can't start at the 3rd grade. The same with the high school graduation. You can't look at it just in the high school. So the success coach works as a freshman grade level to get early intervention so that we don't surprise in the senior year that a student has missed so much school and so many classes did not count. So this is a huge support in our high schools. The next is our success coaches have amazing opportunities that they're aware of for college fairs to be able to get students into college or vocational schools, whether they're doing college and career ready or vocational training. This also includes attendance. Sometimes I wanted to share with you, we look at stickers work really great in the elementary grades, but if you gave a sticker or a little pin to a high schooler, that's really not going to work very well. So our success coaches, again, have great innovative ways that they can work with high schoolers to get them to school. But the one thing that I wanted to share with you is that I met with a high school group and we asked all the students, why did your attendance turn around? And some of them did say it was the pizza party or tickets to a dance that they wanted to go to and many other things. But there was one student that said, sometimes I just appreciated being recognized, that no one ever recognized any little attempt that she did. And again, our success coaches were hugely impactful in that, just recognizing our students and families. And the next one, I myself have had to fill out the FAFSA. It is not always easy and there's a lot of information that's needed. And sometimes our families, especially if you've moved often, they don't have all of the information needed. Our success coaches in the high schools have been hugely helpful in getting FAFSA information and teaming with the community to work with families to get those forms filled out so that college career ready and vocational training is actually available and achievable. But remember, this doesn't happen overnight. It needs to start early. Now, the one thing that I want to share is that we are not protective services. All laws of mandated reporting must be followed by the school staff as well as the success coach. However, where we can really shine is that we work with protective services as part of the team to break down these barriers. That is what's important. I also want to really encourage, if you are in a school system, to really do some training on what does it mean to be a mandated reporter and include that into your professional development. Our success coach can help link you with great resources of someone from protective services to be able to do that professional development. But again, I want to reiterate, we are not protective services. The next thing that I want to talk about, again, with the P2P 5 goals that we spoke about earlier, is that Pathways is successful when we do activities that are in the green light area. Those are any activities that break down barriers for the 5 goals that we talked about earlier. Where we cannot support and participate is the things that are in the red or the stop zone. Let me give you some examples. A success coach cannot teach a class. So we know and are very aware that there's a shortage of substitute teachers. However, pulling in a success coach to cover a class, it's not allowed. Covering the office if a secretary is gone. Also, lunch or recess duty. Those are not the best use of our success coach's time. So we really want to make sure that you open the lines of communication with the mentor of a success coach to make sure that you clearly delineate what are the green light, yellow light would be things that you discuss that are really important for your area, and then the red light. And another thing that I want to say that's so wonderful about Pathways to Potential is that the yellow light allows the success coach, the school, and the program manager and mentor locally to decide which areas really fit. It's not a one size fits all. It's really geared toward each community individually. Another thing that I want to make sure that is included is the school improvement plans. We know that the school improvement plan is the roadmap to success. And if you remember the slide earlier that Tanisha showed with the roadmap about Pathways to Potential, we want to make sure that we are better, stronger together as a team. So please include your success coach and all your community partners in the work that is being done to make students successful. Make sure that anything they do with attendance. Another one is parental involvement. We are all challenged with how do we get parents more involved. We personally found huge increase in our parental involvement directly related to the work that the success coach was doing to really break down barriers so that they wanted to come to school. They wanted to see their success coach. They wanted to get engaged. And the parental involvement also includes, with online learning right now during COVID, let's work with the parents and find out what can we do to break down these barriers. Another example is the PBIS, the positive behavior system that most of you guys have. We want to make sure that we're part of that incentive. It might look different now that some of our districts are going online, but we still can be an active part. We also know, and I talked earlier about 3rd grade reading and high school graduation, and success stories are plentiful, as Tanisha shared so many wonderful success stories. But we need to work as a team and we need to collaborate. There's also a referral form that a success coach can work with so that the schools can use that to break down the barriers that are in the success school improvement plan. And also, I want to share is when you're looking at your CNA, your comprehensive needs assessments, the success coach maintains data that also can be used for implementing different programs in your school improvement plan. So talk with that success coach about how they are using their client log and the data that they're seeing. And that may be very impactful data for you to do your school improvement plans. The next part is some of you may have questions, and we know that this is a huge program and it's a wonderful program. So I want to encourage you is that in the beginning of the slide, Tanisha has provided her contact number and her email address. We would absolutely welcome any questions that you have, because again, I know that we are stronger, better together. And if you have questions, we're going to do everything that we can to break down those barriers for you. Thank you so much on behalf of Tanisha, myself, and the entire team at Pathways to Potential. We want to really thank you for your time today. We also want to thank you for your hard work each and every day, and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.